Alright, what's going on, bees? Welcome back to Bumblebee. Here are the top 10 unusual Victorian era events that you won't believe. These are actually so disgusting. Good luck, let's do it. Number 10. The woman who ate her hair. Why did she do this? What happened? Also, how much hair? I have all the questions. This story was featured in the Liverpool Daily Post back in 1869. Yeah, that's how crazy this was. Passerbyers had to read about it in the morning. In the Victorian era, when a 30-year-old passed away in a small village, normally it wouldn't be out of the ordinary. Back then, the average life expectancy was 42 years old for women. But when a 30-year-old woman passed away in a small town, the case was odd. Something wasn't right. When doctors conducted an examination of the body, they found a solid 2-pound chunk of hair sitting right there in her stomach. I'm gonna throw up reading this. That was the cause of her death, a massive glob of hair that she ate. What? The woman's sister did note afterwards, after the fact when it was too late, that over the last dozen years, her sister, the victim, had been casually just eating her own hair. Why? Who knows? But don't let your friends or family eat their own hair, okay? Got it? Great, let's move on before I throw up. Number 9, cat craze. I'm 100% a dog guy. Cats are cool, they're independent, they're, doing their own thing. But this next story here really freaks me out, never going back. Back in 1870, a rich woman had put her time, energy, and resources into cat breeding. She had tons of cats, she loved them all, and you know what? They loved her back. It was a good system. Now, it was the 1800s, so there were a lot of candles around at the time. Plus, with everything being extremely flammable, disaster was waiting. It just had to happen. So one night, a fire broke out at this young woman's home and the cats were trapped in the house. They made it out alive, okay? Don't get upset here. But by the time the two maids had kicked the doors open to rescue all the cats, well, they had gone full primal. The fire in the house obviously scared them, so when the doors opened, these two maids were both attacked by the woman's cats. All of the cats, they all attacked them. They thought they were responsible for the fire. I was like, what? I just saved your life. How could you do this? Yeah, what a horrible thank you for saving them. Are you a cat person or a dog person? Comment down below if this story changed you. Number 8, your skin can breathe? During the Victorian era, there was a widespread belief among scientists, believe it or not, that human skin could breathe, similar to how lungs inhale and exhale. That's terrifying to think of, okay? This theory was based on the idea that the skin had pores that allowed oxygen to be absorbed and carbon dioxide to be expelled from the skin. Literally just breathing skin, that's disgusting, that's horrible, it's a nightmare. As a result, some people would wear looser clothing and avoid tight corsets to allow their skin to literally breathe more easily. However, this belief was eventually debunked, obviously, as it became clear that the skin did not actually function like a set of lungs. Why, of course not, yeah. Nonetheless, the idea of skin breathing persisted in popular culture and language for many years. People were like, no, I'm still believing that my wrist is breathing right now. I can hear it. I'm gonna believe that for 100 years. Number 7, the Brooklyn theater tragedy. Before YouTube, I was doing plays in high school. I loved theater. I also loved watching any sort of theater, comedy, anything, you name it. Thing is, I get too distracted while I'm watching, right? When I watch theater now, I can't help but look for all the emergency exits, okay? That's the first thing I do, and it's because of historical events like this next one here. Before emergency exits and every safety regulation, theater in the Victorian era was extremely dangerous. In 1876, for example, the Brooklyn Theater caught fire during a performance. One of the actors was getting too into it and he accidentally kicked over a lantern that was on stage. Reminder, this was 1876, everybody was dressed to the nines, wearing their finest flammable attire, no capacity in the theater, no fire marshal, no chance of survival. The fire spread quickly and in the end, 278 people lost their lives. A monument was put up after the incident took place. They're like, hey, remember that? That was scary, huh? All right, let's not change anything for 100 years. Got it. Number 6, bathroom blowout. One of the greatest Victorian inventions was the bathroom. I literally just used it. Good times, all around success in there. It's the room where you go and you sit, you do your business, and you go on your phone for 46 minutes. But it took a few tries to figure out these toilet troubles, dare I say. Flammable gases like methane and hydrogen sulfide, they build up over time with human waste, which then builds up in the sewers and eventually backs up into our homes. So methane gas building up over time equals spontaneous combustion. Next thing you know, you're lighting a candle in your bathroom and you, gone, just like that in the blink of an eye. Now we have poo-pourri, a little spray that hides what you've done, hides all your mess that you did previously. Fascinating how far we've come, isn't that? The bathroom, crazy, 100 years. Number 5. Quick divorce. Let's just say the love wasn't working out, okay? It happens, people change, right? You go that way, I'll go this way. Now what? Say it's the Victorian era and divorce in England isn't allowed until 1857. Now what? What are we gonna do? Well, considering what list we're on and how I'm talking about it, well, it's pretty horrible and unfair. You were getting sold. That's what happens. How horrible is that? There's wife sellers out there. That was their full-time job. It was a legitimate business too. There were auctions, public auctions would be done, and you would watch people bid on marrying your wife. What a time that was. One real sale that happened in 1862 was in Selby, and the asking price was 1 beer. Yeah, 1 pint, sold just like that. I'll trade you for my wife. What? Other times, and most of the time, thankfully, it was a rather expensive exchange. God, I hope that beer was at least an IPA or something. Like a Guinness, you know, like it was kind of worth it, not like a light beer. That's crazy, can't believe that. Number 4, Burke and Hare. Medical schools were offering a handsome fee for deceased bodies to study. So at this point in the Victorian era, there was an unhealthy amount of Victorians that came up with a new solution, if you want to call it that. Grave robbing. Yep, it got so out of hand that family members were actually on guard, guarding the graves of recently deceased. Yeah, dudes were jumping out of the bushes trying to steal your gam, like an hour after she died. How horrible is that? Get out of here. It's stupid. Nobody was as evil as William Burke and William Hare. See, they stood out historically during this time because, well, they wouldn't wait until the body was done living, if you catch my drift. Yeah, they would do it. They were impatient, to say the least, and sadly it took 16 victims in total before people started to catch on. The Anatomy Act of 1832 put an end to all this horrific ideas. So gross. Also, grave robbing is like it's horrible, right? But it's kind of funny. Number 3, the eruption of Krakatoa. 1883, the volcanic eruption of Krakatoa in Indonesia was one of the most violent in recorded history. It caused a massive death toll in the surrounding areas and affected global climate and weather patterns. That's how big this was, that's crazy. The loud boom of the initial eruption was heard thousands of miles away, and the ash affected sunsets around the world for years. Yeah, not just a week, years. This was a dark period, literally. This is something you hear about that happens thousands of years ago, but you never guess that an eruption of this magnitude happened so recently. That's why I'm here. There you go, you're welcome. Hit that thumbs up for scary knowledge. Number 2, arsenic dresses. If looks could kill, let's talk about it. The vivid green dyes used in some, well, a lot of Victorian clothing were created using arsenic, which was known for its potent toxicity. It's very, don't put it in your mouth or eyes, ever. Awesome. It's really the last thing you want to put on your body in general. The color, also referred to as Paris green, was used in wallpapers, paints, and fabrics. It was all over the place. It was in your walls, like you were literally just breathing it in. This green back here, this green screen, let's hope that it's not Paris green. I'll ask some questions after. Those who wore the dresses or worked with the dye could suffer from symptoms of arsenic poisoning, including sores, respiratory issues, and even death. Most of the time, death. Despite awarenesses of the dangers, the brilliant hue kept the dresses in demand until safer dyes became available. Yeah, half the crowd didn't even care. They're like, oh, but green's my color. It makes my eyes pop. What am I supposed to do? Wear all black? Gotta be different. And finally, number 1. Grim accessories. The Victorian era's fascination with death, it was driven by the high mortality rates and the mourning, of course, of Queen Victoria, hence the era named after her. Now, these major historical events were staples that influenced fashion in various weird ways. Grim accessories often featured gothic elements, including skulls, bones, or other symbols of death. Yeah, you just rock up to work one day with just a femur across your chest. You're like, hey, what do you think? Not bad, right? It's hand-me-down. It's a heirloom. At the same time, mourning jewelry was also a hot new trend. Yeah, to mourn somebody via jewelry. And by jewelry, I mean lockets of their hair. Lockets of real, human, disgusting hair, just popping out of it at all times. I'm gonna throw up. Hair, being both personal and non-decomposing, was seen as the perfect memento. I'm gonna throw up, this is so gross to me. Just a thing of hair on your neck. The trend was popularized by Queen Victoria herself, who wore mourning jewelry after the death of her husband, Prince Albert. So, question before we close her off, would you ever wear the hair of a loved one that has recently passed? And also, why not? Why would you never do that? Comment down below. Curious if I'm the only one that finds this haunting. I'm Taylor McWaters, thanks for joining on Bumblebee. I'll see you real soon. I'm back, let's do it. Bye-bye. It's like the ultimate, we can't say that. We can't say on this YouTube at all. May, don't put that in, please don't say